Today I want to show you a little bit about footwork techniques that can be much more simple than you think. And I want to show you three most common mistakes that happen with the foundation of tennis footwork. So the first one is when you're in the open stance and you're ready for the ball. Sometimes when the ball comes straight at you, you don't have to do many steps. Sometimes I would see players, even though the ball is coming straight at them, they're still doing 2 or 3 steps to get into the position. Now, the problem with that is that the more steps you make, the more you will perceive lack of time, or you will feel there's less time, because you will feel time only when you finish moving your feet, and then you feel kind of still, and then you feel, okay, from now until I hit the ball, that's the time I have. So the longer you mess with your feet, the more time you will use and the less time you will feel you have for the shot. And so on the other hand, the sooner you get into the position for the shot, the more time you will perceive you have for your shot, and the more calmly you're gonna execute that shot, and the better that shot's gonna be. So when you're in the open stance, or let's say in the ready position, and sometimes the ball comes straight at you, you don't actually have to do any steps. Sometimes when I play, I just lower myself and hit the ball from this position. So there's nothing, you don't have to do anything. Just one thing maybe about the foot, so your foot can rotate a little bit. You can pivot the foot a little bit, so you don't want to stay like this, because then your hip doesn't want to rotate. But you also don't want to position your foot parallel to the baseline, because then you lose the coiling effect. So when your foot is, let's say, at about 45 degrees, the hips stay here, but the shoulders can rotate more, and that creates a good coiling effect in your body, from which you can pull an open stance. So the first mistake that I want to point out is when you're in the ready position and the ball is coming at you, you don't have to do many steps. You don't have to do like 3 steps and then you're basically at the same spot. Maybe you can just lower yourself and hit the shot, or maybe you can do just a little step out and hit a shot.
There we go.
Similar goes for the close stance. So if the ball is coming straight at you, the most common mistake that I see is I see players stepping back and forward. So they're making 2 steps again. So step, back, forward, instead of just pivoting on the foot, staying very balanced and making 1 step forward. So pivot and step, that's 1 step, back, forward is 2 steps. And again, you're just wasting that precious time when the ball is coming toward you, and you will feel that you have less time, and in the end you're gonna have to hurry up your stroke and not hit the ball so well. So again, you can practice that on your own with the ball. Just pivot on this foot, drop the ball and hit in the close stance, or have someone toss you balls and just make yourself aware, be more aware whether you have a tendency to make more steps, or is there a way to simplify? So can you simplify? Can you just do 1 step towards the ball? And with this 1 step, the close stance, you can actually cover at least 1 meter of the distances from you. So even in this position, I can cover with 1 step, and after that I'm going to recover, so that's no problem. So with 1 step, close stance, I can hit the ball here, 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 here. Everything works as long as I recover. And that brings me to the mistake number 3 with footwork when it comes to close stance. And the most common mistake that I see, and I'm going to show from this angle, is that when players hit in a close stance, they leave this foot behind. So as if that foot has to be there. because you feel this is the starting position and you think that in the final position this foot has to stay there. And that's not good, because keeping the foot back prevents your hip from coming forward, and your hip is one of the main sources of power. So it's important that you feel that your hip is leading and not your leg. So the hip is leading and it has to pull the leg forward. So when you're hitting a close stance, you want to pull the leg forward, and a good way to know that you're doing that is dragging the toes on the ground. So when you hit a close stance, you can drag the toes on the ground and feel that when you finish the shot, your hips are parallel to the baseline or to the net. When you finish the shot and you leave the leg behind, my hips are now pointing that way and I'm hitting that way, so I have not used all the power, all the rotation that I have at my disposal. So that goes for like two-handed close stance, or one-handed also, where it's not so pronounced, but you can still drag the foot. But the most often times that I've seen this problem is a close stance forehand, and then player is kind of stuck in this position and not very balanced. So make sure that you drag your foot forward, because in a split second you're going to put your foot down and recover. So there's no need to stay like this for too long, but just make sure that moving your foot forward is not part of the stroke, because that's going to make you pull away from the shot. Here we go. Okay, Mark, so what we were doing before, I was just tossing you balls, and the topic we're working on today is how can we make less steps or fewer steps, right? So the first one is, now that you're in a ready position, and I'm just going to toss you the ball, like the most beautiful ball in Arizona is going to come straight to your racket, and there's no need to make any steps. So you will just try an open stance, just kind of coil and uncoil. So just kind of lower yourself and come up, okay? That's it. So you're just trying to stay there and play the ball. Yes. So off your right leg. Yes. You're just staying there and hitting the ball. Very good. Here we go. One more. Yes. So the second topic that we talked about is when the ball is a little bit shorter and you can step towards it into a close stance. So again, the most common thing that kind of is pushing you that you want to do is you want to step back and forward. So instead of stepping back and forward, you can just pivot on your right foot and step forward, so that you feel you just make one step. Yes, that's it. Okay, so still try make a little bit of the split step, and then you just pivot and go. Here we go. Up and go, yes. Here we go. Yeah, so you see you can reach the ball. Yes, a little bit left, a little bit to the right. Yes, and you can reach that ball with one simple step. No need to step backwards. Yeah, okay. Okay, so the last thing that I was talking about, that's like a very common mistake, is that when you're in a close stance and you hit the ball, this foot stays back, right?
Right.
And then it's not allowing the hip to come forward, so you're kind of just, you know, preventing yourself from using the body rotation. So yeah, so what we want to do, you want to drag the foot.
Okay.
So you want to drag the foot and like feel that you have aligned your hips with the baseline or the net, so that you're like you're facing in the direction where you're playing. So here you go. I'm just gonna toss you a few balls, no rush. You can finish the stroke. So close. Okay, good. You can finish and just hold it for a second. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Just hold it for a split second. Okay, and then try and feel. Did you feel that you drag your foot on the ground?
A little bit on that one.
Okay. You can take a look down. Take a look at your hips. Okay, so now it went over, so we don't want it to come over. You want to stay balanced. Yeah, you can take a look down at your hips and see if you're all right when you finish the shot. Wait now, wait, take a look. So yeah, good, exactly. That's how you need to be at the end. All right. So you feel the hip, very good. The hip is pulling the leg, right?
Right.
Yes. All right, so can you try a few shots and do it incorrectly so that you feel the difference?
Okay.
What does it mean to leave the foot behind?
Okay.
Yeah, it feels something like that. So you can just compare how it feels, right? This one, and now drag the foot and rotate a little bit more in the shot. Yes, and now do it correctly. All right, here we go, one more. Yes, okay.
Push more power way up.
Yes, more power, yes. Because you're just allowing your body to unwind or uncoil in the shot. Yes, perfect.
Okay.
So just to summarize, the main three things, the main three mistakes that I see when it comes to the basic tennis footwork is making too many steps and not allowing the back foot to come forward. So again, in ready position, you can sometimes just stay in ready position and just lower yourself, turn sideways, lower yourself and come up. You don't have to do any steps. Maybe you just step out a little bit and that's it, and you will feel you have a lot of time for your stroke. And the other variation is when the ball is slightly shorter but coming at you, you don't want to make steps and steps. Again, you can just pivot on the outside foot and step. So that goes the same for backhand. I just pivot on this foot and step and really simplify my footwork. And the third thing that comes into play at for the open stance, you see, these are the fun things that happen when you make videos. Well, just
Try and run and get it, but I didn't know if I was going to end up in the picture doing it.
Well, just keep it running so people can laugh. So the third thing, when you're playing and you want to simplify your strokes and you know, make the best of your body's abilities, is when you're going close stance, don't leave that foot behind. You want to rotate your hips and align your hips with the net and pull or drag the toes on the ground. So you go like this and then you're ready for the next shot. And next time I can talk about the tennis myth, which says make as many steps as possible to get to the ball. So that's a tennis myth, and actually it just comes into play here and there, and you have to know exactly when that is important or when is that situation. But in most cases you want to simplify and optimize your footwork so that you do as few steps as possible when you're moving towards the ball.